my daddy what my playmate's father said, and he took me up upon his knee, and this is what he said. Son, you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a rat. If you've marched or agitated, then you're bound to hear it said. You might as well ignore it or love those words instead, because you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a rat. Feel free to clap along. As I was growing up, I had my troubles, I suppose, when someone took exception to the contours of my nose, or tried to keep me on the job, or hit me on the head, and when I organized a fight back then.
Everyone for coming out and joining Solidarity Halifax and Gabriel Enxuga for his campaign launch to represent District 5, Dartmouth Centre at Halifax City Council. Yeah, and thank you oh so much for coming out. Thank you for all the volunteers. Thank you for the lovely Ben Seashell and Mary Dan for playing music. And we're going to hear a few words from Gabriel and some other folks about this exciting campaign for City Council. But before we do, I'd just like to make a few announcements. First, I'd hope you're familiar with Elderly Landing, but there are bathrooms just inside the ferry terminal if you gotta go. Next, we're going to have photography being taken here at this event by the lovely folks from Foundry Photography. So if for whatever reason you don't want your photo taken, please just let Melissa and the Foundry folks know that you don't want that. And also we have a wonderful art project here, the Gabriel Enxuga bus. And that represents our campaign pledge for free transit. We want to eliminate fares from the bus and ferry system and make it easier for everyone to get around. But we'd like you to take a moment today and take a marker and write down what you would like to see here in Dartmouth, what you would like to have changed, and to write it down on our lovely bus and get on the front of the bus for social justice. So I'd like to invite Sebastian Labelle to come to the microphone and do a short land recognition.
Citoyens, camarades, bienvenue. Fellow citizens, fellow workers, welcome, have a good day. My name is Sebastian Labelle. I'm a resident of District 5 and also a member of Solidarity Halifax's Municipal Action Committee. And I'm here just to say a few things about our place of gathering here today. First, I'd like to acknowledge that the land we're standing on is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Unceded territory means that this land was never formally surrendered, relinquished, or handed over to settlers who have joined the Mi'kmaq to live here. On this land, the Mi'kmaq people have self-governed, raised families, generated economic activity, and practiced their culture long before and after the first settlers set foot in their territory. In our lives today, the privileges, the luxuries, the land and its resources we often take for granted are the harvest of many years of exploitation and dispossession of First Nations people. And as such, it is our collective responsibility to acknowledge our histories, our relationships to the land, and our relationships to one another, because acknowledging and understanding these relations is fundamental in repairing past wrongdoings and in rebuilding a healthy community wherein we can truthfully live together in peace and friendship. The region over which the city of Dartmouth is built has a particular connection to this ongoing story. Dartmouth was among the battle sites during the Father Le Loutre War, also known as the Indian or Micmac War, where Mi'kmaq and Acadian allied militias conducted raids on the treaty-violating settlements and fortifications being established in the area by Edward Cornwallis. It was in an effort to squash this resistance movement that Cornwallis issued his notorious scalping proclamation against the Mi'kmaq. Dartmouth was also home to one of the area's last surviving Mi'kmaq communities at Turtle Grove, in the area now known as Shannon Park and Tufts Cove. The community was obliterated during the 1917 Halifax explosion, which is a piece of the story that doesn't get mentioned in Heritage Minutes or much anywhere else. Just across Alderney Landing here on a shrubby hill still stands St. Paul's Cemetery. On that hill, among the mix of marked and unmarked graves, stands a stone cryptically informing visitors that the grounds contain the graves of hundreds of Indians and 2 of their chiefs. This is in reference to the unmarked burials here throughout the 19th century. But oral history among the Mi'kmaq tells us that those grounds have been used for Mi'kmaq burials since long before that. In that same cemetery, a plaque commemorates the history of the Mi'kmaq in this area. It calls upon citizens of the HRM to tell and honor this story, but also to grapple with the responsibilities that fall upon us today to do right what has been and what continues to be wrong. Of course, there's more to the story of Dartmouth. Since the arrival of the first 353 immigrant settlers aboard the Alderney in 1750, Dartmouth has been home to many. Quakers and Loyalists have made their mark here, so have many industries. And as new development burgeons in our city, we need to ensure that we have representation in council that speaks to the interest of people over the profit-driven interests of the development industry. We're seeing now on the Halifax Peninsula, year after year, neighborhoods struggling to defend their communities from developers. We need to have someone who has our back in council. Someone who follows in this area's well-established tradition of caring for the common good. Someone who follows in the spirit of the Ropeworks factory workers who collectively bought a piece of land and offered it as a public space named Victoria Park, just a few blocks away from here in that direction. The spirit of Leighton Dillman, who is now commemorated for his volunteer work in the preservation of the Dartmouth Common. Hey, buddy. As a place all of us can call our own to share. The spirit of the Metro Youth for Global Unity and other project planners at the Peace Pavilion, which stands in this park just over there, who have refused to let the monument be commercialized as an attraction and continue to call the pavilion a sanctuary away from commercialization, a tribute to peace and the oneness of humanity. Dartmouth holds in its history numerous examples of what it means to care for one another and to provide for one another. Together, we can look to our past for guidance, look to our future for hope, and look to our present for action. Together, we can elect Gabriel Enxuga to bring this vision to Halifax City Council. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. I'd now like to introduce Michelle Millette, who's going to speak a little bit about Solidarity Halifax and why we're entering the municipal politics.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can everyone hear me? My name is Michelle Millette, and I am a client support worker at a homeless shelter here in Halifax. I'm a board member for ACORN in Dartmouth, and I'm also a member of the anti-racism committee for Solidarity Halifax. My partner and I live in Dartmouth, and we're very happy to be here. We're raising our 2 kids here. We go to their sports here. We use all the facilities and things here. We love Dartmouth. My job this afternoon is to speak briefly to what Solidarity Halifax is, since you're all maybe hearing about Solidarity Halifax for maybe the first time, why we've decided to enter formally into municipal politics. And after that, I get the pleasure of introducing our candidate, fellow Solidarity Halifax member, Gabriel Enxuga. Solidarity Halifax was founded in November 2011 by activists, organizers, and community members who were interested in coming together to actively oppose all forms of discrimination and oppression, to actively oppose all threats to sustainability and health of our natural environment, and to create a culture of solidarity through relationship building between people and organizations. At Solidarity Halifax, we run campaigns like the Power to the People campaign that tells everyone that we believe that the utilities should be public and not belong to private interests. We work in coalitions like the collaboration with the Canadian Federation of Students, ACORN, and other organizations that are interested in the Nova Scotia Needs a Raise campaign, which says that everyone who works a minimum wage job needs to earn at least $15 an hour.
Yeah!
We do ally work, like the ongoing joint efforts of our Anti-Racism Committee with UJAMA and other organizations for a one-day conference and website, Working While Black in Nova Scotia. This website chronicles personal stories of anti-Black racism in the workplace right here in Nova Scotia. We organize public events and opportunities in our community for public discussion, like the People's History Conference, our recent Treaty Day event between all nations, and a panel discussion on capitalism and childcare. Everyone here knows that people in our communities are struggling. We know that our neighbors are sometimes choosing between feeding their families and heating their homes, and that's not okay.
No.
Many in our community have no access to safe and affordable housing. They can't find work and cannot afford to access key services like transit and childcare. At Solidarity Halifax, we strongly believe that another city is possible. A city where there is safe and affordable housing for everyone, a city with fair wages for workers, a city where families can afford childcare and transit, a city where racism and sexism are actively challenged, a city dedicated to addressing climate change and building a sustainable economy. Solidarity Halifax has watched activists around the world use municipal politics as a way of engaging in the struggle for social, environmental, and economic justice. After 4 years of effectively intervening in struggles for many people across our communities, we feel confident that we can also intervene right here at City Hall in Dartmouth. That's why it's my pleasure to introduce Solidarity Halifax candidate in District 5, my friend Gabriel Enxuga. Gabriel is a well-known community organizer who's been a member of Solidarity Halifax for many years. He's worked with Dartmouth residents to advocate for more affordable housing, the elimination of predatory lending in our city, and access to public transit for people living on social assistance. Gabriel has also been an advocate for trans healthcare and has organized for better working conditions for low-income workers through Baristas Rise Up. Gabriel has spent long hours speaking to people and speaking up for people, our residents all across our community. And he will work hard at City Hall to stand up for democracy, the environment, and social justice. Putting people and the planets before profits is not just a dream. It's about making concrete changes now that make Dartmouth a place where people and communities thrive. Gabriel will not back down from challenging the developers and corporate interests who run our city. He will stand up for democracy and social justice as a voice on City Council, and he will have Solidarity Halifax behind him every step of the way. All right.
Yeah.
Please join me in supporting Gabriel Enxuga for District 5.
Thank you, Michelle.
That's my boy!
All right. Wow. Okay. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone who has helped organize this event, knock on doors, and volunteer your time and energy to make today possible. I want to say thank you to my friends and my family who have supported me along the way. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. Yeah, all of you have taken time out of your busy lives to be here today because you think that this is important. And that gives me hope. Today, I feel hopeful. And you know what? It's not always easy to feel hopeful. Often I feel like there's quite a lot to worry about. What with the climate crisis, rising unemployment, and increasing income inequality amidst a backdrop of political instability, all the way from Donald Trump to Brexit. Sometimes I wake up feeling like the whole world is on fire. And so I worry. And I talk to other people who worry too. We worry about how we're going to pay our rent, we worry about being able to find a job, and we worry about what kind of world our children are going to inherit. And these are not small things. But today, I feel hopeful. And I feel hopeful because today I know that I am surrounded by people who, like me, believe that together we have the power to change our world. Politics is interesting because it can fool us. It can fool us into believing in the myth of great men and fool us into believing that change is made by individuals, by presidents, princes, popes, and prime ministers. But the truth is that change has never been made by individuals. Change has always been a collective process, and change has always been created by the people. Like a hive of bees working in harmony or strands of rope woven together, our strength, our power, and our capacity to create is built collectively. And so this is the message that I want to bring to you today. I don't want you to vote for me because you think that I'm going to do something great. No, I want you to vote for me because you believe that us together have the power to do something great. And believe me, I want us to do great things. I want us to make people believe that a better world is possible. I want us to inspire our friends, our families, and our neighbors to take action for our collective good. All right. Yeah. And I want us to build a city where no one goes hungry, where every family has a home, and not a single person lives in poverty amidst all of our wealth. Yeah. This is the world that I want us to build together. So I can't stand here and promise you that change will happen overnight. I can't promise that it will be easy or that it will happen without sacrifice. But what I can promise you is that I will fight for you. I can promise you that I will be an advocate for low-income and working people. And I can promise you that I will work with you, listen to you, and struggle alongside you to put our issues on the agenda at City Hall. I can promise that I will fight for a city that works for working people. Yeah. I can promise that I will fight for municipal rent control, landlord licensing, and inclusionary zoning so that every family can have a safe, healthy, and affordable home to live in. Yeah. I can promise you that I will fight for free transit, not only to reduce Halifax's carbon footprint, but also so that every person can afford to take the bus to go to the doctor. Yeah. I can promise you that I will fight for a city that pays all of its workers a living wage and protects good union jobs by stopping the contracting out of snow removal, grass cutting, and other vital municipal services. I can promise you that I will fight to eliminate the fees from Halifax Rec so that every child in our community can afford to take a swim class at the Dartmouth Sports Club. And I can promise you that I will fight for a city that seeks to actively redress centuries of ongoing colonialism and racism by replacing colonial place names and guaranteeing Mi'kmaq and African Nova Scotian communities voice, vote, and representation on City Council. This is my vision for Dartmouth. This is the city that I want us all to live in. And I want to work with you to make this city possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. That was amazing. A big hand for Gabriel, everybody. Now I'd like to invite Gabriel's dad to come up to the microphone and play some lovely music. And our barbecue is going strong, and we'll be giving out tons of more food. It'll just be a minute. And it's free for everybody.
So thank you. I've known Gabriel for a long time now. And I kind of had the idea that, actually both, pretty proud of Gabriel, I probably know that, and both my kids. Can you hear me in this? No? All right. I kind of knew that Gabriel would be up to something once he left home, and I was right. So all his life, for both my kids, I've been singing them songs about struggle, about fighting for their place in this world. So I'm just going to share with you some of the songs that I've been singing to Gabriel and his sister Daniela since they were knee-high to a grasshopper. So, and you probably know some of them at least. And the first one I'm going to do is about agitating and educating and organizing, which is what I do, what Gabriel does, what my family seems to do. All right. The song is called "You Ain't Been Doing Nothing If You Ain't Been Called a Red." And I've done various versions of this. You ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a queer, depending on what struggle it is. But anyways, this is what it is. When I was just a little boy, I used to love parades with banners, flags, and red balloons, and maybe lemonade. When I came home one May Day, my playmate's father said, "Those marchers are all commies. Tell me, son, are you a red?" Well, I wasn't sure just what he meant. My hair back then was brown. Our house was made of plain red brick, like many in the town. So I went and told my daddy what my playmate's father said, and he took me up upon his knee, and this is what he said: "Son, you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a rat. If you've marched or agitated, then you're bound to hear it said. You might as well ignore it or love those words instead, because you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a rat." Feel free to clap along. As I was growing up, I had my troubles, I suppose, when someone took exception to the contours of my nose, or tried to keep me on the job, or hit me on the head. And when I organized a fight back then, those bastards called me red. Well, you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. If you marched or agitated, then you're bound to hear it said. You might as well ignore it or love those words instead, because you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. Well, as I got older, one apartment that I had, there was a classic rotten landlord. Let me tell you, he was bad. And when he tried to kick me out, I rubbed my hands and said, "You haven't seen a struggle if you haven't fought a red. Well, you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. If you marched or agitated, then you're bound to hear it said. You might as well ignore it or love those words instead, because you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red." Well, I've done some agitating, cause what else can you do? You can't let them dirty bosses just walk all over you. A friend said you'll get fired hanging around that commie off. I should only have such troubles, buddy, I ain't got a job. Well, you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. If you marched or agitated, then you're bound to hear it said. You might as well ignore it or love those words instead, because you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. Yes, I've done some agitating, and I'll do a whole lot more for employment and equality, and always against war. There goes that rotten commie, I heard somebody say. No, I figured they were right, and that's why I'm singing here today. Well, you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. If you marched or agitated, then you're bound to hear it said. You might as well ignore it or love those words instead, because you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red. So I've always been a union person, and I guess I'm not surprised that when Gabriel found himself in hot water at work, he chose the right option, which was to organize himself a union. The Baristas, and yeah. So I'll do a union song that to me speaks pretty much to Gabriel's character, and I think a few people around here are going to know what the song is. So if you do know the words, just feel free to hop in, because your voice is going to sound a lot better than mine. All right. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plow the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of rail laid. Now we stand up fast and standing, it's the one that we have made, but the union makes us strong. They have taken up the billions that they never toiled to earn, but without our brains and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, bring our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. In our hands placed the power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified about gold. We can bring to birth the world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
Hey Shelly, how are you? Great to see you.
How's that?
Thanks for coming.
Well, I might do that one.
Yeah, me too.
I'll do one more. When you're in this kind of a political struggle, or a political campaign of any kind, one of the fundamental questions is knowing which side of the fight you're on. And I'm glad to see that all of you here have chosen to be on the right side of the fight. All right. Come all you good workers, good news to you I'll tell. I'll tell that good old union has come in here to dwell. Which side are you on? 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 My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the union until every battle's won. Which side are you on? 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 They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You're either for the union or a thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? 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 Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you take a stand? Which side are you on? 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 Don't scab for the bosses. Don't listen to their lies. Don't
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. We're gonna have some nice music here going for another hour or so, and we're gonna give away more free hot dogs and enjoy the sunshine, enjoy each other's company, and remember to vote Gabriel come election time.
Told my daddy what my playmate's father said, and he took me up upon his knee, and this is what he said. Son, you ain't been doing nothing